The consumption of pornography is just skyrocketing. I read that by 2025, the revenue is bigger than the music and the conventional film industry combined. But also, our kids are exposed to pornography in an extreme way today than it was in the earlier days. Do you want to explain a little bit the difference to today versus 25 years ago?
25 years ago, there were these VHS tapes and magazines. Generally, they were, what is called not hardcore. These were just images of naked women, for example, and such. These are some of the things you and I were probably exposed in our teenage years. Everyone is to some degree. But things have changed in a very serious way. So I'll give you an example of a recent report, 2023 report by the UK Children's Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
The average age of watching pornography for the first time in UK is 13 years old. But now the figures get worse because it's also 27% of 11-year-olds that have watched pornography and 10% of 9-year-olds. So one in 10 9-year-olds in UK have watched pornography. But it's not, once again, the pornography that we think that we have watched on VHS tapes or the Playboys that the boys snuck around.
Yeah.
They're bad enough. But what they're watching is violence and torture. So 88% of all pornography is violent. So what and most children, according to this particular study, do not want to see this. But what it does is that it has an impact on them both socially, psychologically, cognitively, and physically, long term. And this is something that is also intertwined with this experience. They're also being taught that violence against women and girls is okay. It also forms their sexuality. It also tells them that there's no such thing as rape myth, because most of the sexual acts that they're seeing in this hardcore pornography is severe violence. It also tells girls that sexual violence is also okay and they should accept it. So there are so many different pieces to this that are important to really think about.
And what does it do exactly, for example, with boys, if they are exposed too early to that kind of pornography?
One is even their perception of women and girls.
Mm-hmm.
Two, their ability to have intimacy.
Okay, let's talk about the perception of girls. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, if they're seeing constant and oftentimes daily violence, sexual violence against women and girls, it's being normalized.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing. They think that this is okay and this is what being, quote unquote, a man is about.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to be a man, you need to behave this way. So it forms their behavior patterns and their interactions with women and girls.
That must also cause anxiety and a lot of pressure, because what you see and what they then often meet in reality is completely different.
That is true. And studies have actually also demonstrated that it does cause loneliness, anxiety, depression, pornography addiction, and a variety of other mental health issues. Because once again, what we call quote unquote pornography is actually scenes of violent torture that a child is watching. As an adult, you can actually somehow understand that this is what you're watching. As a child, you completely do not understand that this is it, and you think this is normal. And your brain has a particular reaction to this.
But also, pornography has a high addictive component, and I'd like to explore that a little more, why that is, and especially why it is so much so as all of the content is getting so much more brutal.
Well, pornography addiction is a little bit like drug addiction. So it's about that next high. Because as a certain level of violence is being normalized in the brain, the pornography industry wants you to be hooked. So they want that next high, that next reaction. So for that addiction to continue and for you to stay on this, because they're making a lot of money, as you have said. So it gets more violent and more violent and more violent. And children are stuck watching this too.
Yeah.
This is the whole thing, without really comprehending the real impact on them, and once again, what they're watching, because it's taking them there stage by stage by stage. With drug addiction, a lot of times it starts, well, I'm just trying this out. This is a little bit of fun. Then your body gets accustomed to whatever dose of drug that you're taking. And the same thing happens with pornography. And this is why the pornography industry has also evolved from the, soft-core pictures of women to extremely violent scenes of degradation, abuse, torture, gang rape, etc. That is actually very mainstream at this point.
And that must be very disturbing for any normal sexual relationship.
Well, what we think is normal is not even understood by young people anymore, because they have been socialized and trained on what sexuality, intimacy, or sexual interactions look like. And they're generally violence. This is the whole thing. I remember there was a study done in Sweden by a Swedish organization. And one of the big questions that are being asked by young women is choking during sex. Okay. These are some of the things that we're dealing with. You have also, I believe, an article some years back by Teen Vogue on how teenage girls should do anal.
Wow.
So this is the whole thing. Whatever is happening, the trends and patterns in pornography are being played out on teenagers, and what the teenagers think that they should be doing or what they should want, or it builds their desires and understanding of their sexuality through the lens of this violence.
So we were talking about the boys, but obviously we want to cover the girls as well. It's a very, very tough situation for girls as well, right?
It is a horribly tough situation as well, because girls are watching this. And as I've mentioned, then they're more accepting of sexual violence or violence in general, because it is being normalized.
Yeah.
They're seeing this, and they're seeing people in these videos pretend to enjoy this. And the other part too, a lot of pornography is produced through trafficking of women, sometimes men. A lot of it is not just willing actors enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
In reality. So we also need to understand that they're actually watching real violence taking place, and they're being told that if you want boys to like you, you need to accept this. This is what, just as boys are being told this is what it looks like, girls are being told that this is what it looks like. And it results also in low self-esteem. It results also in a variety of different issues. And it also creates an extreme vulnerability in young women to sexual exploitation going forward. We have all seen the issue with Andrew Tate and such, and the various vulnerabilities, and how easy it is to find a vulnerable young woman who's watched these things, target her, and exploit her, because a lot of this pornography is grooming young girls specifically to be potential victims.